Welcome to Mueller time. What's up, brother?
How you doing?
This is episode 28. I am going to be going on vacation to a undisclosed location
Yeah, so we're doing a midweek recording.
midweek, and we're testing the remote thing too. We just didn't want to test it and find out the hard way that it didn't work, especially as we got hit up by Active Measures,
Yes, we did.
and they said they might want to do an interview, which was awesome. So I don't want to find out the hard way that thing doesn't work. So yeah,
So you're going to go to the secret remote location,
the master of timing is flying to the East Coast tonight.
and then we will do, bi-coastal recording in the next 7 days.
Yeah, hopefully this hurricane, and my heart goes out to those people. And then selfishly, I really hope it doesn't make its way to where my flight is going into.
Well, this one is doing the rare thing of, didn't it turn southwest? Don't those hurricanes this time of year usually go up the north up the coast?
Yeah, this one apparently took an unusual path.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the Trump effect. Everything's all just fucked up. Yeah. I guess.
Yeah, I think your plane's going to successfully avoid that.
Yeah. But we will test the remote thing when I'm out there. Maybe we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
I guess some Mueller news first. So breaking right now, it looks like when you hear this, Paul Manafort will have pled guilty.
Yeah. Now this is a report. It hasn't actually happened yet.
Hasn't happened, hasn't been.
But all the top fake news sources are all running with it tonight. I saw it on MSNBC this evening.
Yeah, except for if you turn to Fox, no mention of that.
Oh no! Well, I watch Fox more tonight than I usually do.
We'll get into that in a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we don't know if Manafort is what they call flipping or whether he's just pleading guilty. We'll find that out.
Well, you have to assume that he's pleading guilty. It was being reported as a plea deal. So what's Mueller getting out of the deal?
Well, whatever he is, Mueller's getting something.
So what? Okay, now Manafort's already guilty from the first trial.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Now this is a plea deal, so he doesn't have to go through a second trial.
We don't exactly know why, because Manafort's, I mean, I do have to give it to him in this way. He really has kind of, he's kept his mouth shut. And so to change his mind now is weird.
Well, that's why I'm asking, what is in it for Mueller? If it's a plea deal, what's in it for Mueller?
I mean, I'm just speculating here, but in terms of what's in it, well, first of all, for any prosecutor, a conviction. So it's a win. Prosecutors love that. That's why, 90% of cases.
Well, no, he's already got him guilty, and now he's letting him off the hook. Well, he's letting him off the hook for this other trial. What is Mueller getting in return? What is Manafort saying? Does this mean he's now talking?
Well, that's a good point.
Yeah.
And that would be the most logical thing. And by the time people hear this, I bet hopefully we're going to know.
I hope we learn something in the next 12 hours.
That'll be, Manafort must be, they said these trials can cost $20,000 a day.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
let's not even try to get into the math of what any of that costs, because it's all just stupid.
We know Trump has obviously promised him a pardon. That goes without saying.
Mm-hmm. Oh, well, now if Mueller has given him this plea bargain, though, what is there left to pardon?
You know what? I'm going to have to say this is going to be a to-be-continued moment with Mr. Manafort.
Yeah.
One more thing. I did post an article. This is way too much to even get into, but BuzzFeed has an article on suspicious money transactions that happened at two key points in the campaign. And I did put it up on the Mueller Time Facebook page.
Yeah, now this was connected to the infamous Trump Tower meeting with the Russians that was set up by the concert promoter and
Exactly. Yeah, at two key moments, Aguilarov, who's Putin's builder, wired money. One was right after the Trump Tower meeting, and the other one was right after the election.
Now, I saw that BuzzFeed was reporting this as a new revelation. There has been so many revelations on what's going on between all the Russia connections. What exactly is new about this? Is this a totally unknown transaction? Do they just have a new piece of evidence to prove it?
This was, I haven't read this anywhere. And it was that also at the timing that he wired the money at those two key points. Okay. The only thing it didn't have, which was what I wanted to know, was where the money, he wired it to himself, but it doesn't say where the money ended up. I'm sure Mr. Mueller knows that, but we don't know it.
And is this now connected, though, to the pinging between Trump Tower and Alpha Bank?
There's no way that is a... There were some news sources I respect that really kind of blasted that. Give me a break. How can you say that's not connected?
Correct. Yeah.
You and I both have computers. Does your laptop start pinging a Russian bank? It's bullshit. Of course it has something to do with it. Yeah. It's so ridiculous, right? Yeah. Like even the Intercept was calling that. I was like, wait a minute. Like that's like legit.
Yeah.
So we we'll see what happens with that. But that BuzzFeed article is very interesting.
Do we have that up on the Mueller Time Podcast Facebook page?
We do. I put it up there. So
is it on the new Mueller Time Pod Twitter account at Mueller Time Pod?
I didn't get it out there, but nice plug, by the way. Mm-hmm. I like it. Yeah, we got the Twitter account, which is getting a lot of traffic, which I actually find interesting. Like, I'm getting more traffic there than on my own account.
Yeah, I've yet to master Twitter, but it's easy to draw people on Twitter. I've been talking all the last 3 days about the situation, the tragedy in Dallas, and I don't have a whole lot of followers at Low Progressive on Twitter, but wow, people are ready to talk about that.
That's something that I really do want to talk about. I want to say first, though, in a presidency of lows, I think we hit a new low.
Oh, yeah. What the hell today? And I saw some defenses of that low that we will get into in a moment.
Of course, we're talking about President Trump. Why did I say that? No, I shouldn't say President Trump.
WWE Hall of Famer, right. Puyota's pussy grabber.
Exactly. He said that 3,000 people weren't killed in Puerto Rico.
Oh, oh my gosh, he's a hurricane victim denier.
3,000 Americans. More.
He's trying to be a hurricane victim truther.
It's funny. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. By the way, technically he's right. It was actually 4,600 Americans, according to Harvard, who did Harvard Medical School, did a big study.
Okay, so one pathetic attempt I saw on Twitter today to try to defend the hurricane death denial from Puyota's pussy grabber.
Lou Dubs.
No, it's one of my favorite people to pick on. One of Ben Shapiro's underlings, at Cassie Dillon on Twitter. She tweet replied under someone saying, if you get into a car accident but die months later from your injuries, you didn't die from the car accident, you died from the injuries. Wow. So President Trump was right. It's not 3,000. So, yeah, basically saying, well, no, if they died later, it doesn't count. No, that was the best defense she could come up with. And
there's like some
that was
like
pathetic.
Nazis said shit like that. Like, that's kind of like, it's not exactly that, but sometimes with these Holocaust deniers, they're slick. They don't pick just outwardly saying it didn't happen. Mm-hmm. They'll start picking apart things. Well, it wasn't really like a gas chamber. Like, I think that is an appropriate analogy because she's trying to pick apart something where the big picture is the same.
Exactly.
They're
trying to find a reason to make it okay.
I didn't realize even her boss though was calling. I'm surprised that she did because even Ben Shapiro.
Yeah, Ben Shapiro did call him out, but no, I'd have to pull up his actual quote from his story today.
But it wasn't like
Ben Shapiro is so good at playing the fence.
Yeah, he just does it.
He has to be wary of his future post Puyota's pussy grabber because he's a young 30-something,
right.
Upwardly mobile political figure.
More people died in Hurricane Maria than on 9/11.
Did that total surpass 9/11?
I believe if 9/11 was 3,000 Americans, and you believe the Harvard study, which I do because it's fucking Harvard Medical School,
well,
right? I mean, they say 4,600. Mm-hmm. And even if you're a conservative, it's the same amount as 9/11, 3,000, right? It's just they're Americans.
They are correct.
It all.
Yeah. But are we sure that Puyota's pussy grabber realizes they're Americans? I'm still not to this day convinced that he's sure of that.
Well, because he's a white supremacist, that's why those people got our fellow Americans there got fucked over so bad.
Yeah.
At this point, I think we can segue into another low point. Trump 9/11. Trump 9/11. Oh. You saw the photos.
Oh, wait, what now? No,
Trump visited the Flight 93.
Okay, this is where it sucks that we're not on video.
Yeah, we're gonna.
I am doing the double fist pumps in the air.
Let me ask you a question about. Serious. What is wrong with this man?
And did you see where he gives the thumbs up? He has the one where he's double fist pumping in the air. And then he has the other one where he's giving the thumbs up at a 9/11 memorial, the one in upstate Pennsylvania, correct?
Yeah. For any of you guys who maybe...
is that a thing, upstate Pennsylvania?
It's all the same. It's close enough. I don't exactly know where the geography is there, but for anyone who missed it, there were two moments. He got off the plane, and he starts giving this ridiculous thumbs up, which is now being memed all over the internet, like him at Chuck E. Cheese, which is funny. And then the other one, no, I got it wrong. He gets off the plane. He starts freaking out because his supporters are there, and he just acts like a fucking idiot. And then the thumbs up was when he was actually at the Flight 93 memorial. Flight 93, where the passengers heroically took charge and crashed it, killing the terrorists.
Yes.
I guess the pictures, it's hard to do it. The pictures are what you have to see. And I know everyone listening to this saw it.
Yeah, well, remember, this is the same WWE Hall of Famer that seriously said he always wanted to get a Purple Heart. And then he took one from somebody.
But seriously, what do you think? I mean, like, kind of serious. Like, what is wrong with this man? And
there's nothing wrong with him. No, he's totally mentally stable. He's a stable, very stable genius.
Because I was looking at that and I was like, how does someone do that? They call him there's a lot of theories about what is wrong with this man. But even people who share some of those characteristics easily are able to shut up.
Yeah.
When something like that happens.
When you grow up that rich, when you grow up with that kind of privilege and you actually don't understand humility because you don't have to, because you have enough money to not have to understand it, when you become 70-something years old, you're not going to change.
I think it's this is stating the obvious, but I think there's a mental health issue that really, because he's never been examined, because I know, like I was thinking about this guy that I know in Hollywood who is the guy I know the most who's like Trump and shares many of the same characteristics. I mean, total ruthless sociopath, but he always is able to at least mimic, like if he was at something like that, he would look like any of us, somber. He would never do something like that.
If he had a fan club greet him getting off the plane, the person who I think it is, yeah, you might do one of those.
I know this. By the way, you don't know this guy.
Oh,
it's
okay.
different. I think I know what you're talking about. But no, this guy would absolutely be like, don't like.
Okay.
He knows what to do, and that's why it's so disturbing to watch. You know who, because it was like. Anyway, I would just like to know. If there is a mental health professional who's listening to this show and interested, you can hit us up at the Mueller Time Facebook page or the links we'll plug before we're done.
Now, I haven't gotten deep into Fear, Bob Woodward's new book, but isn't the mental stability a topic throughout the whole tome?
Yeah, let's get into that book. That was it came out this week. I was auto refreshing my Kindle like furiously, and they delivered it exactly at midnight, which is very cool.
Yeah.
Actually, it was 9 o'clock our time.
Yeah, if you ordered now, look, that's you said the Kindle version. Yeah, I saw people complaining. I have people on Facebook that are old that get books still, the printed kind, and they were complaining that they weren't getting their books right away because of the demand.
I noticed there's this thing.
By the way, I'm totally joking about the old shaming because I'm old and I like books.
Oh no, I mean it's fine. I like the hard copy. So the book. Well, first of all, everyone seems to be rushing to finish it. Like I noticed, like I'm not rushing. Like when I read something, I want to understand it.
Did you see Kyle Griffin all day yesterday? Just all he was tweeting was a page number and then something that happens on that page.
No,
that's wow. Such the Cliff Notes way to read the book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So overall, the book it's an excellent book. There's a couple things that I don't disagree with anything factually. Just the way he kind of tells what's going on. There's parts where he switches into the first person with no warning, which I found a little bit weird. But the point is that the book itself is amazing. You could tell he interviewed every fucking person.
I know. So now I saw a couple of his different press interviews, and am I understanding this correctly? Now he gets people in deep background, which means they tell him all the dirt. They're happy to tell him all the dirt. He can't use their names, but now he's even recording these people.
Yeah.
So he's got people on deep background. He doesn't state who is giving these quotes, and he claims to have backup tapes.
The tapes are to protect him and also for history.
Of course.
And very smart, right?
So yeah, just the things that I know are claimed in this book. He's got people on tape saying this. It's not being made up. That's wild.
And Bob Woodward knows.
Why would anyone in the Trump organization talk to him?
because they want an insurance policy.
Yeah, I guess so.
This administration is going down faster than even I thought. And these people are going to be out of work soon. They're going to be looking for a job. They're going to be trying to rehabilitate their image. And then they'll be like, hey, I was the guy who told Bob Woodward, blah, blah, blah.
I'm quite conflicted on the people in the Trump administration who claim to be working against Trump secretly. Well, you're still working for Trump trying to save your own butt. So what's going on?
But I'll give you another reason they're telling him. If you don't tell Bob Woodward what's going on, someone else is going to tell your story
Yeah.
for you.
Well, he's that good of a journalist, yeah.
And everyone talked to him except for who, because he's scared of him.
Well, no, but you heard the tape of Bob Woodward trying to talk to him, where they actually did talk, and the whole conversation was, well, what, you mean nobody told you I wanted to do an interview with you? You could tell that Trump was completely lying, making it sound like, oh, I didn't know you were trying to talk to me. And then Kellyanne Conway even interrupts this call recording. She says, no, I told you about that.
You know what I've said since the beginning? While the policies of this administration are what's the most dangerous, what actually bothers people the most is the bullshit. Mm-hmm. That's why people are having heart problems and people turn off the TV. It's the bullshit. And that call was like a penultimate example. Mm-hmm. Trump fucking so poorly lying to Bob Woodward that he didn't know him. Then this goofball Conway comes in and she's bullshitting Trump. Mm-hmm. And everyone knows that everyone's lying.
Yeah.
And that's why Americans are so pissed off. Yes, the worst thing is like his climate change policy, but when you see that, your blood pressure starts going up.
Yeah, but you know what? Joe Sixpack got $1,000 off his tax return this year.
Yeah. Well,
Next year.
Those people are fleeing as well. I mean, they'll always be the core supporters, but
so sad.
Well, after this is all over, there's going to be a lot of pretending that you weren't a fan of Trump.
Oh, of course. Well, I told you how Ben Shapiro likes to play the fence, and he's angling for his political future.
Yeah.
He never really criticizes Trump.
This fear book is, you're reading it, and even if you know the stories, I mean, I don't know, what do you think?
Well, look, I'm going to be honest here. I made it 7 pages in before I got sidetracked on other stuff. And the book opens with Steve Bannon's first meeting with Trump and how Steve Bannon had to be coerced into it. And Steve Bannon says that he thought Donald Trump was a joke and he wasn't serious. And it's being set up by, this is in 2010. It's being set up by some heavyweight dude in the Tea Party.
You're right.
And the Citizens United stuff. So it was coming from there. And and then I got 7 pages in, and I
no, it's fine.
Not jumped back in yet.
No, it's a fascinating read. I think it's the best book I've read so far on this whole thing. I'm really enjoying it.
Well, it's the first book so far on this whole thing written by a longtime old journalist. Omarosa is, and Michael Wolff's book was borderline tabloid nonsense. Michael Wolff
does.
Oh,
no, I was going to say Michael Wolff has a tabloid reputation, but Bob Woodward obviously is like.
Well, no, Bob Woodward took down a president.
Right.
So yeah, he will. He will always be the former heavyweight champion of the world.
And Wolff's book is great too. It's just that this one, no one can attack Woodward because he's Woodward.
Yeah,
and that's why Trump wouldn't talk to him.
Yeah,
I mean, because he knows.
Yeah, absolutely.
But he should have talked to him. Because
man, could you imagine what those tapes would sound like?
Yeah. If he really, it's funny when you know how they always say he plays 3-dimensional chess. Well, the move was to talk to Bob Woodward because you didn't talk to him, and I think if he talked to him, he could have at least probably bullshitted him a little bit, get his side on this, whatever, or maybe it was a no-win thing. I mean,
yeah.
Who knows?
Well, look, you have a good point. Even though he could have sat down and lied with Bob Woodward would publish his lies. I'm sure he would pick apart every single one of those lies, but that wouldn't matter because if Trump had those words out there and his crazy cult-like followers read those words, it doesn't matter if Bob Woodward points out how much of a lie they are because they're Trump's words and they believe it all.
They're like that one part that everyone already knows about where they're explaining to him why we have this missile defense system in South Korea. Where they can, it'll according to Woodward, who again is, his reputation speaks for itself. This defense system will protect us a certain amount of time faster than if it was located in Alaska. And that's why we have it there. And they don't even explain what it is because the program is secret. So Trump hears about it and wants to get rid of it.
Right, because it's in South Korea and he wants to kiss Kim Jong-un's butt.
That very well could have been. The other thing is, like, Trump, because he thinks of everything like a construction worker.
Oh, uh-huh.
He starts thinking that he's going to like renegotiate the land or something.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
It's just stuff like that where you're like, again, that this is actually happening.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck that guy. Hey, man, let's do this. Let's do this Dallas thing. I think a lot of people don't know about this.
Yeah, you know what? The story hasn't quite blown up yet. I think what it will when the 911 call, if it ever is released, then this is when this is going to become the next biggest cop shooting story ever.
Why don't you, especially for the people listening to this abroad, why don't you like break this down because you've been on this?
Oh yeah, okay. Here, you want the short version?
Please.
Okay. A man is sitting home alone. A cop busts into his house and shoots and kills him.
This gentleman lived in Dallas, Texas. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, yeah, that was the short version.
He was home in his own place, and a cop basically broke the door down. And what's the reason that she gave?
Okay, so let's get into the long version. This is in Dallas, Texas, in an apartment building called the Southside Flats. It is a 5-story apartment building, and from all descriptions, each levels are basically identical. Botham Jean lived on the 4th floor. Directly below him, in a similarly shaped, directly below him apartment on the 3rd floor, lived Officer Amber Geiger. Amber Geiger, on Thursday of last week, apparently, after working a 12 to 15-hour shift, depending on what report you are reading, returns home very tired. The parking structure to this apartment building is attached. So you park in the parking structure and you can walk directly into the level of the building that you park on. Dallas officer.
You know what the short version was better?
Yeah, all right. All right, so she thinks she's walking to her apartment, and she walks to her neighbor's apartment, somehow gets in the door, which whether she busted it down, whether it was already open, whether her key worked or not, there's several different stories out there. She enters this apartment thinking it's hers, sees a black man, thinks it's an intruder, so she shoots and kills him.
Right. So this Amber, what's her name? Geiger?
Amber Geiger. Officer Amber Geiger of the Dallas Police Department, who is still a Dallas police officer on paid leave.
So she kills this guy in his own apartment, and her excuse is that because he lived one floor above her, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay, this is her excuse. Yes.
So that she thought she was in the wrong apartment. Now, obviously, that's bullshit. We all know that.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to, because I know you've been following this, what do you think really happened there?
I don't know yet what really happened. There is a report from the lawyer of the deceased resident's family. He is stating that the downstairs neighbor, he didn't actually use Officer Amber Geiger's name, but she is the direct downstairs neighbor. On the same day that the shooting occurred, earlier in the day, she phoned the neighbor to complain about noise. So there has been a relationship between them before as neighbors that don't get along because of noise.
I could totally. By the way, just a segue. This is why people kneel. This is why.
This is exactly. Yes.
This is the. I mean, this is such bullshit.
Well, what's more bullshit though is how the picture is already being painted for her to walk free. The case was turned over to the Texas Rangers, the state police for the state of Texas, handed over to them from the Dallas Police Department. And when you read their warrant of arrest, they use the phrase "in her apartment" when the shooting did not happen in her apartment.
See, I think most cops don't want somebody like her around. And I do think most cops go out there and do the job. And I want to believe that this investigation will be fair. But already this manslaughter thing already has me obviously worried because this ain't manslaughter, dude. That's a fucking murder.
No, it's a murder.
That's a fucking murder.
Now, another thing that they phrase in the warrant of arrest that is is tailor-made to get her off, basically states that he ignored her commands.
Yeah.
The resident of this apartment ignored the unlawful commands. But because it uses the phrase, as a result, she fired her weapon. Because he ignored her commands, she fired a weapon. Blamed the victim.
I think. I mean, I'm just kind of guessing here, but based on that thing with the noise complaint, I think what went down is that they probably have some issues in the building, and so this thing builds up for a while. Again, I'm just kind of doing what I guess an attorney does, and I think she's crazy. Obviously, she could be a psychopath. Who knows? She came by. The neighbors heard her banging on the door. Let me in. He probably opened the door, and she just either shot him right there, or there was some brief conversation.
There is no mention of the neighbors hearing any banging or shouting before the gunshots in the Texas Rangers warrant of arrest.
Yeah.
The Dallas police, on their search warrant, they made a search warrant for the deceased, Botham Jean, that was released one day after the shooting. And in that search warrant, that mentions neighbors heard shouting and knocking. They heard shouting before they heard gunshots. Excuse me.
Yeah, this is one of those things where the community is going to, and I know they're all over it, but they have to be all over this with protesting and whatever. Otherwise, yeah.
Look, the story hasn't totally blown up nationwide. It really smells like it will.
Yeah.
911 call hasn't been released. And between the differences that we've had in the stories that have come out, the 911 call will undoubtedly clear some of that up. And I'm sure it will leave even more questions.
Yeah.
But yeah, once there's some more, some more facts that are released. There's cameras all over this building, apparently.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah,
That's
so
a good start.
there's a lot more to come out from this story, and I think once these things happen, this story is going to blow up nationwide because it's being painted for this cop to walk free right now. For again, she completely violated the Fourth Amendment of a law-abiding citizen. This man was sitting home alone in his home. A uniformed police officer busts into his home and shoots and kills him. That is whatever circumstances got that cop through that door, I think are completely irrelevant.
Right.
Because none of that supersedes the Fourth Amendment, which protects you from having uniformed police officers enter your home and shoot and kill you with no warrant whatsoever.
Yeah, and this is a straight up murder, and it's wasn't even police work related. Obviously, this is something personal that went on there.
So look, everything that's being put out there on what was going on in this crazy cop's mind that got her through that door, I think all of that is 100% irrelevant because of the Fourth Amendment.
Well, no, that's a great point right there. We're
I think we're way over time, aren't we?
No, it's 27 minutes.
Oh, okay, good.
Just want to say one more thing. Checking the stats, noticing a ton of plays in Ghana.
Oh, yeah. Yes, you brought that up.
Ghana.
Thank you, Ghana.
Yeah, if you're listening in Ghana, if you'd like to reach out, I would just love to know, because they're in Accra, the capital, which I was reading about, which is really cool. It looks like a beautiful city. I'd just like to know how you heard about the show and what you know about what you think about this political situation, and
what is your take in Ghana?
Yeah, so
I'm curious. We have listeners in Ghana. Are you able to tell what platform they're listening to us on?
You can only tell the country, and you can tell the platform, but you can't cross them. Oh, okay. Which would actually be that would be really cool to cross check them and see who where they were listening.
I know if you look in the Facebook Insights, it'll tell you if we have listeners in Ghana on Facebook.
And if you are listening there, and you do have a spare room, we may have to flee the country at any point. If you listen to the show, we come back to that, where we'll have to go.
Oh, man, I hope we don't have to flee.
So Ghana, that's a new place on our list. We have Australia and a couple other countries, and now we have Ghana.
They love soccer in Ghana.
Yeah, and you're a huge fan.
I'm a soccer fan. I could be a Ghana supporter if we had to flee to Ghana.
I could do really any job. I've had a lot of jobs, and if I have to flee, Ghana looks like a beautiful country.
Oh, let's not do fleeing fantasizing, please.
And I think the Russians won't be able to find us as easily there because they'll stick out a lot more, I think.
Well, we're going to be sticking out pretty bad.
Oh, that's true, yeah. Yeah, me, the goofy white dude. Yeah, that's true, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
I think you could blend in more because you could you're just more of a blend-in type. I tend to just...
Sure.
Or not. Or I'll be killed on the plane, either by the Russian. Either way.
Yeah.
So if you do want to follow us on Twitter, it's Mueller Time Pod. I'm Eric Levay, which is EricLevai. Chris is over at...
I'm Chris, and you can find me at Le Progressive on Twitter right now these days. I'll be You might see me commenting on the @Mueller Time Pod, and I'm going to be commenting a lot on Twitter all about what's going on in Dallas with the homicidal Dallas police officer.
Yeah. And if you could write us a review on iTunes or wherever you listen, or just leave us a review, that would be awesome. Really appreciate that. Otherwise, I'll be going to that undisclosed location for a little R&R, and we'll catch you soon.
Adios.